Okay, well, it's time for day two. Can you believe it? Day two's recap. And yep, we're now on the boat. It's a little bit windy. I apologize. I'm out on the back here. It's actually pretty windy out front. So I come to the back of the boat. You can see that the sun is literally setting and Miami is literally straight behind us there. You can't quite see it behind. So what I wanted to share with you was I hope that you enjoyed day one's insights. It was over 30 minutes worth of like incredible knowledge around where are interest rates going, what's happening with the dollar, what's happening with gold, what's happening with real estate. And it's really critically important that you understand this stuff. I also went through the 5 most important tips for investors. And so if you haven't watched those videos, literally click on the link below and join. And if you enjoy these, subscribe to the channel, share them with your friends. You know, at the end of the day, I'm here, you've got this workbook that just has the most incredible value in it. And then this is my iPad that's even better, because this iPad, I'm recording everything. And so not only do you get access to the audio files, you get access to all my notes, but you also, what I'm getting better and better at is taking all my notes and then synthesizing it so that you can come up and have cheat sheets basically in terms of that process. So I hope you enjoyed that. Right. Oh, and by the way, if you're enjoying these, like, put your comments down below. Like, I'm fascinated what you think about what we're learning and how this is all going. Day 2. So we started off early this morning because we were boarding the boat, and we had a fascinating panel this morning about the future of the US dollar. Now, I know at our mastermind level, we consistently talk about the future of the US dollar and whether it will or won't remain the reserve currency, whether you do or don't know. If it remains the reserve currency, then the Americans can keep printing money really with no downsides, like having a credit card where you can print your own money. But if it stopped being the reserve currency, then the whole way of American life would fall apart, because they wouldn't be able to print money, they wouldn't be able to have a consumer economy, and it would have a dramatic impact for them over the next 50 plus years. So the panel that we had was Brent Johnson, Dollar Milkshake, Brian London, the gold guy, Mike Maloney, also the gold guy, George Gammon, the, what's he called now, the something capitalist, and then Peter Schiff, the economist, in terms of that process. So we started off with the history of money. And again, we've been through this, we went through some more detail yesterday. But what was fascinating, one of the things, you know, they had cowrie shells and they had live animals, but ultimately every single society on the planet came back to gold or silver as a form of currency. And one of the things I didn't ever realize, which I don't know if you did or didn't know, but the reason jewelry became so positive is because you didn't have a wallet. You couldn't leave your gold in your hut, so you would wear it on you. And so it was a symbol of not only wealth, but actually it was like carrying around your wallet, which I found quite interesting. Mike Maloney went on to say that the current system, the fiat system, where you literally borrow money from the bank and you're consistently paying off your debts. And he went on to say that it's literally based on fraud, theft, and enslavement. And it's so interesting because this whole middle class of go get a job, work, you know, get paid, get debt, get a mortgage, get credit card debt, get student loan debt, is all about fraud, theft, and enslavement. And he said that gold is the only honest money. And yet the governments hate it because it constrains their spending. And they spoke a lot about why Richard Nixon took them off the gold standard. And basically they said, you know, America defaulted on its loan, like 100%. They didn't even give back 10% or 20% or 50%. Because when you had a note with the American Reserve Bank, or the Treasury, if you asked for your gold, and France was the first one to ask for their gold, and then, you know, Germany and England started, and literally Richard Nixon went, right, we don't do it anymore, it's not tied. And it was so interesting because at that time the whole world could have said, no, we're not using the US dollar, stuff you, we're not doing it. But within about a year they did a deal with the Saudis where they tied oil, the biggest oil producer in the world, to the US dollar. So they put them back onto effectively the oil standard in terms of gold. Then, you know, they spoke a lot about banks, and one of the things that George Gammon said was banks are insatiably greedy. And whether we were on the cowrie shell standard, the gold standard, the Bitcoin standard, it doesn't matter. Whatever standard we're on, they're going to be greedy and that they're going to take advantage. Wow, it's hot out here in Florida. And so when they went on to say there won't be a gold standard, and that the reason being is that the government won't give up control. And, you know, they spoke about, well, if they took away capital gains tax, like on gold, that actually no asset since the 1970s has actually gone up in gold terms. Not real estate, not the stock market. No asset since the 1970s has gone up in terms of capital growth if you take it based on gold terms. And the only asset that's gone up over that period is gold itself, which is really interesting. And I must admit, I need to do more research into that in terms of the process. Then the question went to where to do we go from here? And Peter Schiff spoke a lot about the collapse. Now, I haven't heard his speech yet. I can't wait for it. But he said, you can kick the proverbial can down the road, but he thinks we're like one kick away from complete collapse. And if people stop using the dollar, then America will lose all its privileges of being able to be the credit card machine and print its own money. There'll be a complete drop in consumer confidence. It'll have a dramatic impact on American life and literally change global economics in terms of it. Brian London spoke about the trend lines, and he said, you've got the value of the dollar going down, you've got the value of gold going up, and those lines will intersect, but not in the near term. Like, it's still going to take a number of years and take time for that to take place. Then what was interesting is George Gammon shared what I thought was the most valuable thing. You can see I really enjoyed George. I got to speak to him one-to-one. I actually gave him a Zimbabwe $1 billion note and invited him to come and speak for our mastermind members. So whole thumbs for that one. I got his personal contact details, and I'm going to try and get him to come and speak to our mastermind members. But he asked a question, what is the reserve currency? And he said, when you think about it in the world, like all the people, all the businesses in the world are using the dollar in real time. Over 90% of global Forex, etc., is in the US dollar trades. And, he said that the dollar has the global power of the network effect. So I don't know if you understand what a network effect is. It's like Facebook or a cell phone. Like if you've got a cell phone, it's useless if no one else has a cell phone. Or even in the old days, a telephone or a fax. They're useless unless someone else has a telephone or fax that you can send to. And he went on to say that the dollar is the global power, and it has so much global power because of the network effect and with massive utility. He said it's the biggest network in the history of the world. So if you think about it, no matter where you go in the world, you can go to Zimbabwe, you can go to Russia, you can go anywhere, and you can pay for things in US dollars. And that's the power of the network effect. And he said it won't be replaced unless something comes along which is 10 times better. So when you teach technology, they always say that for something to replace something else, it's got to be 10 times better. So you had Yahoo, the search engine, Google came along, was 10 times better, replaced it. You had MySpace, and that was replaced by Facebook as an example. You had Uber, that was 10 times better than taxis, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You had the iPhone that was 10 times better than the flip phone. And that's where you get these dramatic changes. And so he said he's not saying it won't ever happen, but he can't see anything in the foreseeable future that's going to be 10x better than the network effect of the US dollar. Then the question came, well, what about cryptocurrency? And Brent went on to say that getting a decentralized crypto is a very long shot in terms of that whole process. Mike Maloney said, the distributed ledger in its form, what Bitcoin is basically based on, and blockchain, is absolutely brilliant. But at the moment, a lot of the fundamentals have been lost, and it's now just being driven by greed. So it's just investors who only ever expect it to go up. And the challenge is that now that Wall Street's come in with the ETFs and all the funds, etc., that they're bringing in, now they've got really deep pockets, and they're the Wall Street gunslingers, and you're never ever going to beat them in terms of, because they're just too big and they've got too much smart capital to be able to take them on for you and I as investors. They went on to all agree that the best digital currency would actually be one that was backed by gold. But the more that you got these stable coins, almost every single stable coin has been backed by the US dollar. So it actually enhances the reserve currency of the US dollar, which is really, really interesting. And then the final comment, which was interesting, was George said, the only way that this will ever work successfully and is if the government actually got out of the money system. And they all agreed, all five of them, that was never going to happen. So it was absolutely fascinating debate. And again, for those of you that are interested, I'm going to put together a cheat sheet. If you put in the comments below dollar, so literally the word dollar, then I will give you access to the cheat sheet. So literally all you have to do is comment the word dollar and you'll get access to the cheat sheet in terms of that process. Right, we then moved on to a fascinating session with George Gammon and Mike, sorry, what was his name? Let me just check here. Sorry, Brent Johnson. And we were talking about a recap of yesterday. And one of the things that I enjoyed, I really, really enjoyed George Gammon, if I haven't said that enough, and hold fingers, like I said, that the mastermind members, we're going to get a live session with him. But he said that, he's got no formal education. He never went to university. He's got no business degrees. He's self-taught. He built his own businesses. He was retired by 30, and he's self-taught. And he's called a rebel capitalist. I couldn't remember it earlier, but anyway. And absolutely amazing man. And he said he studied all of the most successful investors through time, and they have three things. And the first one is risk management. So Warren Buffett always talks about how rule number one is don't lose money. Rule number two is refer to rule number one. It's all about how do you manage risk. And yesterday he went into so much detail around how he actually does this, and how they've got puts on the Hong Kong dollar. I don't have time to go into all this detail. The wealth hackers and the mastermind members, I'll actually explain this. But it's absolutely fascinating where he's basically, and I sat with him one-to-one as well, and he literally said, like, if the market goes down, he wins. If the market goes up, he wins. Like, that's all about risk management. The second one is asymmetric risk reward. So we all taught the higher the risk, the higher the return, but it's actually rubbish. You've got asymmetric risk reward, which means they're in inverse. They're like this. So you basically you look for different deals that are where there's asymmetric risk. So basically, if one goes down, the other one doesn't go down. So this is what I literally teach you when it comes to diversification. It's what I share with you with Ray Dalio, where I say diversification is the single most important component to financial success in terms of that process. And also Ray Dalio says his secret formula is 15 quality assets that are not tied together. 15. Now, if you've got 15 quality assets that are not tied together, you reduce your risk by a factor of 80%, and you increase your risk return ratio by a factor of 5. And that's exactly what he's talking about there. And the final thing is that he says all of the top investors in the world, they have an edge. They have a framework. And as an example, Ray Dalio has the 15 uncorrelated assets. I just mentioned it to you. We have the 4D wealth framework. So if you click on the link below, you can get access to the 4D wealth framework. You've got all of the work that I've done with Clem Sunter, which is ultimately how the 4D wealth framework was created. We've got the 9 steps to generational wealth that we've literally copied the family office, and they manage over $1 billion, and how they look after those families and take them not just from looking after their money, but to protecting their money, to creating value, to creating generational wealth, and ultimately to creating legacy. So these are frameworks and edges. But they said, the ultimate edge is to be at an event like this, to be learning from the greatest in the world and being able to implement. And that's how you get an edge over everyone else. And what you all have is an edge, because I'm taking the time to go and listen and learn, and then to try and summarize everything for you and share it with you. So click on the link below. If you're not already within the Wealth University, come and join us, and literally it's free. Come and be part of the conversation. And if you want to join the Wealth Hackers, I will literally share every single presentation. I will share the notes, I will share the recordings, I will share the cheat sheets, and after the event I'm going to put together action plans, literally blueprints on what you can actually do with the information in terms of that process. The final presentation, which I found really interesting, sorry, just before we go to the final one, so just remind you of the 3 things that are essential for every investor. 1 is risk management, 2 is asymmetric risk reward, and 3 is having an edge, which is critical. Right, the very last one that we went through was AI. So how do you use AI in the real world? We went into a whole, this guy was 22 years old, just phenomenal what he's been doing for guys like Robert Kiyosaki, Ken McElroy, George Gammon, and how he's just blown up their social media using all these chat GPTs, where he literally takes all of their knowledge, programs it in, and ultimately, they now have voice recognition, and it's just absolutely fascinating what is possible in terms of the programming, the personalization, how you can help 10,000, 50,000 people all at the same time. And the best part is it's available to all of you. I just want to honor my business partner, Shane, because he's actually implementing all of this already. It was so fascinating. Sit there, and this guy's sitting teaching everyone else how this is working. And my business partner, Shane, has already implemented this across our whole team. They take every single YouTube video I've ever created. They put it in, and basically teach the AI chatbot how to talk and think like I would. And then it responds. It can do it in writing, it can respond in voice, and it just takes business to a whole nother level in terms of scale. And it was just absolutely mind-blowing, and big shout out from my side to Shane, because everything that they were telling us to do, we're actually already doing, which is just fantastic. So to remind you in summation, if you enjoy these, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to bring them out every single day. Share it with a friend. I don't think this knowledge should be the bastions of only the top 1% or the people that can afford or know people to be able to get invited to these type of events. I want to democratize it. I want to empower everybody to invest like the top 1%, which is why I'm sharing this information. So literally click on the link below. You can go to the Wealth University. You can get access to these recordings, plus you can get access once a day to one of the white papers. I choose one of the best ones today. It is about the future of the US dollar, and all you have to do is comment dollar below to be able to get. So when you go to the school group, the Wealth University group, you can literally comment dollar and you'll get access to the report. If you like what we're doing and you want to join the Wealth Hackers, that's where you'll get access to our VIP vault, which I've already said to you. You'll get my notes, you'll get my recordings, you'll get my cheat sheets, you'll get my action plans. And then when I get home, every single Friday, I have our weekly wealth strategy session. And I'm going to take every one of these sessions once a week, and I'm going to go through them in more detail. I'm going to go through the notes, I'm going to go through the cheat sheets, so that it's not just theory, it's how do you actually apply it, how can you ask the questions. So if you want my perspective and you want to deal with me and ask questions in live Zoom sessions, then I would strongly recommend that you join the Wealth Hackers and or apply to be part of the mastermind, where the family office actually does this for you. And then again, we got Wealth Going Global coming up, it's launching soon. And this is where I couldn't be in a better place on this planet to literally find all the greatest information out there so that I can come and literally teach you how to, invest. What are the top 5 countries? What are the top 5 currencies? How do you find the top 15 assets? Where do you find the best partners in the world? And lastly, how do you put it all together with a plan and ultimately to have a strategy? So from the back of this boat, the Celebrity Beyond, it is an incredible day. You can see it's hot. It's 6:30 at night. Can you believe it? And it's just the most beautiful boat. I will be putting all the social media pictures on Instagram, so go and look at my Instagram profile if you want to see the boat and see how it's all working. And yeah, if you've got questions, come and be part of the conversation, come and join the community. I'll be bringing these out every day. Again, we're back in tomorrow. We've got some incredible sessions tomorrow, and I look forward to bringing them and sharing them with you. Till tomorrow, and as always, if you enjoyed these, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, and let's truly empower everybody to invest like the top 1%. Cheers.